Hello, everybody. I wanted to go over the sentence error quiz. By now, since the due date has passed, you should be able to go back into the quiz and look at your attempts. Remember, you had 2 attempts, but look at the attempts and see which ones you missed. You can see the actual correct answers for them. But I wanted to go over each of them and to show you the reason behind what the correct answer is. So your questions may be in different order, but I'm just going to go through the questions here. Question number 1, when one is entering for the nanny position, he or she should remember that it is important to review all references. That is a complete sentence because while you can say he or should remember that it is important to review all references, that's a sentence, but what comes before the comma is just a dependent clause. So it's not 2 sentences joined with a comma. So it's not a comma splice. It is one complete thought. That's why it's a sentence. Number 2, having applied for dozens of jobs and not having had any offers, what? It leaves me hanging, right? I don't know who applied for dozens of jobs. I don't know who didn't have any offers. It's missing a subject and it leaves me hanging. So that is a fragment. Number 3, because she was interested in rocks, she majored in geology. Again, just like that first one, it's not a comma splice because I don't have 2 complete sentences joined by only a comma. I have 1 complete sentence, she majored in geology, and before that, I have a dependent clause. So it technically has already been subordinated, that 4th way to correct run-ons and comma splices, and it's one good sentence. Number 4, same thing. As we set up the tents and emptied the cantinas, we felt dirty. One complete thought. We felt dirty, that's a sentence, but what comes before it is not a sentence. So if I say, no, it's not a sentence, and yes, it's a sentence with a comma, then it's one good sentence. If I said, yes, that's a sentence, yes, that's a sentence, and only had a comma, then it would be a comma splice. But just because you see a comma right here where it says cantinas and we, don't assume, oh, that must be a comma splice, because what comes before the sentence of the comma is not a sentence. Number 5, plumes of heat rose from the kitchen. The fire was uncontrollable. Here, that's a sentence and that's a sentence. I can't join 2 sentences with only a comma, so the answer is comma splice. Number 6, the 2 young men went to the store. They forgot to feed the cats before they left. You even hear me pause because my common sense wants to pause after store because it's a complete thought. Here's a sentence. Here's a sentence. I don't have anything separating it, so it's a run-on. Number 7, the neighborhood appears quiet. No one is outside. 2 complete sentences joined with a semicolon. That is a good way to correct 2 sentences, to basically run on. So the answer is sentence. Number 8, his term paper having been returned, I don't know what. It's leaving me blank. It's not having a verb, so it's a fragment. Number 9, Maurice kept nodding his head. The coach explained the play. 2 complete sentences joined only with a comma, so it's a comma splice. I argued with 2 classmates, but Edward begged me to quit. I have 2 sentences. I argued with 2 classmates. Edward begged me to quit. I've combined them with a comma, but that's one of my fanboys, so that's a good sentence. Number 11, unless we all work together for a better world, we may have no world at all. One complete thought, so it is a sentence. Number 12, the orchestra played more popular selections, but I didn't recognize any of them. The orchestra played many popular selections. That's a sentence. I didn't recognize any of them. That's a sentence. I've tried to separate it, but I've only put a but. I also need a comma, so that's a run-on. Number 13, in addition to dwindling market share, mounting losses, and falling stock prices, what? It leaves me hanging, so it's a fragment. The short story was endless. It should have been called a novel. 2 complete sentences joined only with a comma. That's a comma splice. 15, sobered by the costly ordeal, the university made some changes to the policy. 1 complete thought. I have a clause here, but it's still not a complete sentence, so it's okay to have a comma there. 16, the curtain rose. It's a short sentence, but it is a sentence. Curtain is my subject. Rose is my verb. 17, unless Rachel goes with us, we won't know how to get to the meeting. One complete thought. Good sentence. Number 18, dogs that obey are a joy. Again, it's short, but it's not a fragment. It's one complete thought. Number 19, upon majoring in English at the University of Southern California, I don't know who majored in English, right? It's missing a subject. Leaves me hanging. It's a fragment. Lewis will play with the symphony orchestra next month. His parents will be attending. Two complete sentences joined only with a comma is a comma splice. 21, Harrison desperately wanted the part. Now, if I'm looking at that, nothing looks wrong with that. What about the second part? Because he believed that this was the film that would make him a star. Well, that second part is not a good sentence. It's a fragment. So how would I join these correctly? Just combine them. And again, I don't need a comma before because it's not a dependent clause coming first. The dependent clause comes second. Number 22, I read all of the manuscripts. Then I wrote the first draft of my paper. Well, I can't put a comma before this. That would be my first instinct. However, then is not one of my fanboys. It's not a coordinating conjunction. So the only one that works would be actually separate the whole two sentences with a semicolon. 23, a beautiful and mysterious sight. Well, that's not a complete sentence, right? That's a fragment. It is completely isolated. That's a sentence, but both of them right there separated don't make a good sentence. So the one that works, completely isolated, the resort is a beautiful and mysterious sight. That was the one that corrected it. Number 24, identity theft is a serious problem. Well, I can stop there. That's a good sentence. So there's my clue that this looks like it's a comma splice. Victims sometimes spend hours restoring their credit record. That's a sentence as well. So I need to separate those two sentences. And the only selection that has separated them is to put a period in between them, and that's letter C. I hope that helps. Again, go back and look over the notes on maybe the specific areas that you missed. If you were misinterpreting comma splices or thinking just because you saw a comma, it was a comma splice, go back over and look over the notes as well. If you want more practice, I would recommend the website chompchomp.com. That's CHOMP.com. There's lots of exercises and practice quizzes for you. There's notes, there's worksheets. So again, if you're struggling with this area, if you didn't do well, don't fret too much. It was just a daily grade, but we do want to master this because in the grammar test, boot camp pros test that we take in a few weeks, you'll want to make sure that you've got these down.